What's happening, people? Hope
We're just going to
everyone's well.
start and end it with this now, aren't we? Because even
You're
Craig
not going
started
to
doing
salute or something like that. Would that not be better?
No, it's catch, isn't it? We're free.
Is that Kaj?
Yeah,
Thumbs up.
what's happening, people?
Okay, right.
That's what the cool kids do. Jules says. He tells me what the cool kids do.
Not that I really know.
So this is episode 9, I think.
I don't even know. You say this every time.
I'm pretty sure it is. And today's guest is Mark Nichols,
Papa.
our dad,
Is he Papa?
Dad. And yeah, again, nothing planned.
No, I've just come round to see
Father's Day.
It
Yeah,
is.
I've come round to see George.
Yeah.
Come round to see you.
We couldn't get him to drink a before.
No, I'm just gone for the nice strong black
But I was,
coffee.
because I've already got one in the recycling. I was tempted to put an empty can there.
Yeah.
I don't drink the stuff. I don't like the stuff.
No.
I don't like that either. I'm not an energy drink person. Nice bit of black coffee suits me.
I think it's once you hit 70 years old, it's pretty much game over.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll tell you when I get there.
In a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Feels like it some days.
But yeah, it is Father's Day, so that's why we decided we were going to have you on at some point anyway, but decided this would be a good time. And this is, we've already decided to be a 2-parter.
Right, yeah. Because
So
we go away next week.
yeah. So while we're away, we're going to film one in an undisclosed location.
Undisclosed location, yeah.
We won't say where.
That's a struggle, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like the biggest issue for me on this podcast now is trying not to pick up on people's fuck ups when they say words.
It's not a
Well,
struggle.
it's how your mind works.
Yeah, I can't, but he don't shut
I
up.
don't know,
and
how
I'm
you, I don't know where you got that from. I don't know where you picked that up from.
It's funny, isn't it?
But how often do we have to tell people when they say, like, why'd you do that? It just all comes back to that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this is. This podcast is us explaining to
This is
everyone
the
what
reason
weird
we
way
piss
we are.
people off. Yeah.
Well, I can't help that. That's just
The
the way.
reason for my alcoholism,
Probably.
my outbursts,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely outbursts.
pretty much everything that's wrong
Yeah.
with me. The sex, the reason I can't do it right.
Well,
Your fault.
that's down to you,
You
Matt.
showed me wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
But yeah, so, I mean, again, nothing planned, but we're pretty much going to talk about sort of serious subjects, but at the same time, keep it light.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Dad's been through some shit with Mum and stuff, same as us. It's
Yeah, we've talked about it on here a little bit before. We talked about Mum.
Yeah.
And obviously it's something that you live with on a daily basis, and now a full-time carer to Mum.
Yeah.
So obviously you stay at home now and look after her as a full-time job.
Yeah, it's it just couldn't carry on as it was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just to give a little bit of background to it, 2 suicide attempts, and a lot of mental health issues that Julie has, and physical problems as well,
Yeah.
which sometimes they come together as a perfect storm, and then if she's really down, when they
They
health
set each
problems,
other off.
and so mental health is one of the things. If you're not feeling great physically, your mental health is always going to struggle. And so it transpires that she got so low that she tried to take her life twice.
Yeah.
And the second time was that bad that she was in a coma for sort of 4 weeks.
It is a miracle that she's still here to this day.
Well,
They went to see her, didn't they?
sorry.
At St Thomas. They
Yeah,
went to see her.
she was originally obviously the ambulance took her to Worthing Hospital, and Worthing, as great as they are, I mean, NHS in general, as fantastic as it is,
Yeah.
they just couldn't deal with the severity of it there. So she had to be moved to St Thomas's, or Guy's St Thomas's in London, and they sent an ambulance down for her, and it was really dicey whether she'd actually make it there.
Yeah, I remember they warned us that on the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, and they were dark hours, really, really dark hours, and she did make it there, but she was still in a coma for 4 weeks, I think, in St Thomas's.
Yeah.
And then they moved her back to Worthing, and then we started from there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, she's essentially living a normal life.
she's
for
not
the
far
most
off.
part.
She's not far off.
She can't physically live a normal life.
No.
She has a lot of repercussions in her health from what she done to herself, and we're only really finding that out now.
Yeah.
6 years down the line, what she actually done to herself.
Mm.
We're just so thankful to have her back that we sort of didn't really take a lot of notice of it. And last year she had to have another operation, and she's left with a lot of massive scar.
Yeah.
She's still got ongoing health
But
problems.
the hernia was the mad one, wasn't it?
Hernia was absolutely.
I had no idea
it
for
was
all
a
that time.
hernia. Well, they done an emergency operation when she was in that coma on her bowel, and then that's culminated in a hernia, strangulated bowel. And
But she thought it was scar tissue.
Originally she did,
And then
yeah.
they said it was
yeah.
like the size of American football.
I
Wasn't it?
think it was half an American football she had removed, and then and then she literally only just got over that, and that's over. It was last Easter. So, but yeah, that's and we've sort of learnt as we go along how to do it, because as a family we thought we were no, what is a normal family.
Yeah, it's definitely nice.
But up until the point of the 2 suicides, we thought we were fairly on the spectrum somewhere.
Yeah.
And this sort of blew us away, and we didn't really know how to do. And our relationships with each other, and with Darren, your older brother, our relationship, and it just blew us out of the water.
Yeah, I think everything changed from then onwards, good and bad. I mean, everything, it has to change. Such a massive occasion in all of our lives that it's going to have an effect later on.
Yeah.
Like I say, good and bad.
Yeah, and as much as your mum's now on the mend, I mean, she'll never be the same again. No. She'll probably never go to work. She'll never go back to work because her back, she's got discs out in her back that she suffers with. But people see her in town from day to day, and they think, she's back to normal. But behind closed doors, it's a different story. And but
Achilles, torn her Achilles, didn't she?
Yeah, she had Achilles and knee.
You were filling out medical file and you had to list everything.
Do you know what? We applied for some help, and they say fill it out on your worst day. And I'd never done anything like this, and I remember filling the forms out and putting everything down, and then Mum looked going, "Oh, you've laid it on a bit thick there." And I went, "Well,
it's all true.
Actually, I haven't." When we think about it, when we went through it, she just went, "Christ, yeah." When you let it really sink in, what has actually happened to her.
Well, Mum's going to have that the same as most humans, as far as wanting to just get out of it.
And
it's only when you list it off.
Well, I thought that when you first started trying to get help, and Mum had it in her head for a long time. Like, we are sort of laying it on a bit thick, really. And obviously, it's like Dad couldn't really say to her, "We're not," because she weren't mentally in the right place.
Yeah.
But in her head, it was like almost like she was cheating the system. Yeah, I'm not that bad though. We're just doing that so I can get the help because I'm not ready for. And then obviously, like Dad said, you go through it, and you're like, "No, that's pretty bad."
Yeah, I think when it really dawned on her how low she got, because I'd gone back to work by then, and we'd gone through COVID, and I had to work through COVID.
Yeah.
And I think it was I started coming back for lunch through COVID because I didn't want me anyway. After COVID, said the guy, "Well, look, can I still pop back in?" I was driving the lorry, so I took the lorry home, and then I would pop in for my lunch, and then I'd go back to work. And then I didn't realise how low she was getting again, and I remember coming back one day for lunch, and she was just sitting still in her nightie from the day before, having a shower, and she was just sitting in an absolute mess. And I just thought, Christ, she's gone right down here, and I just looked at her and I thought, so I could see it in her eyes.
Yeah,
I could see it in her eyes. It was going to happen again.
And you had to take action.
I had to take action, so I went back to work. Lucky enough, the employer was really good, and I said, I need to go home. I don't think she's going to be there if I don't go home.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I had to do, and then we just sort of dealt with it from there. And she is on the up because and people go, well, you're a carer, but she seems all right. And she's all right because I'm a carer.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And that's
the second that goes away, everything changes.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I know you have to be careful what you say because people will watch this and you'll suffer the repercussions.
Oh, yeah.
But what sort of an effect has it had on you as far as you becoming a full-time carer to your wife of, 9 years?
Well, 30 years next year.
Yeah.
So, and we've been together longer than that, but married 30 years next year.
That's mental, that.
But how it's affected me now, I'm in a good place. Because I stopped working concentrated, I treat it like a job.
Yeah.
Because it is my job. I treat it like, and as Julie laugh and say, "You're not supposed to be my carer, you should do this, you should do that." But obviously I let Julie do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm just going to be crowding her and not letting her be a person.
Yeah, you've got to be independent.
Yeah. But when I was still working, well, let's go back in time to when it happened and how I dealt with it. And I don't know how we got through it, but we got through it. And I just went on autopilot, and I just, everything just sort of, we'll do this, we'll do that, I'll deal with that, I'll deal with this, and we got through it. So after the second suicide attempt, and that was horrendous, and the year after that, the recovery was just a nightmare. And it got round to nearly the anniversary, because she'd done it one year, then the exact same time the next year she'd done it again. Then it come round to that time again, and leading up to it, I started going downhill. I didn't realise this at the time, but I started going downhill, and I think work was really getting to me, and then I was really struggling with my anger, which I don't struggle with.
Yeah.
And I was having little outbursts at work, and I thought, this isn't me. This is not me. I don't like this. And I realised I was really struggling, and then I had to take some time out. I had to ring the doctor to get signed off, to get some help. And I did get help. And originally it was that time to talk, and you've got to get past that. And then they put me through for some therapy. And to be honest with you, that really helped me out. And I played it down to Mum. I played it down to her, and she I think at the time she's, you're right. I mean, yeah, I'm just saying that to get the time off work, but I would actually go to the therapy and tell them what was on my mind. And I think I had 8 or 9 hours of this meeting, and I cried my eyes out in there. I told them everything, and I really used it how it's supposed to be used. Oh Christ, yeah. And they said to me, "You have got PTSD, because of what you went through." And we did, and all of us sort of dealt with it. We'd ring each other, go, right, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, we'll do that, and Darren as well.
That's what you said before to Mum, like, I felt bad, but obviously we eventually told her. I said I was genuinely scared to come home sometimes, just thinking, am I going to walk in and she's not there?
Yeah. Because if you explained that on here before, the first time that it was you that found Mum.
I don't know. That was because of Dad, though.
Yeah,
because people in the pub told him to ring me.
Yeah, so she'd been out drinking, and then I was working, and then I was supposed to meet her, but she'd already come home. And then when I got there, they said, "Oh, she wasn't in a good place, blah blah blah." And I thought something ain't right, and I rung home, but you were just going out.
Yeah.
And I told George to go and check. And so it was George on her first attempt. It was George that found her, which is not nice for anybody to find anybody, but let alone your mum. And so that was tough. That was tough for us as a family. That was tough, but it was certainly tough for George. But the second time, it was me and Darren.
Yeah.
And the second time, me and Darren because she was a lot further gone. We called the ambulance, and the ambulance had to talk me through.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And so I had to give her a heart massage.
It was only minor the first time. They'd done the same thing because you rung them when you got back. You were saying.
Well, I rang them when I was literally walking down the road.
Yeah, so it was minor. It was just chest compressions the first time, and then it was sit her up, keep her awake.
Try
she would just take her. The second time she had already gone to bed, hadn't she?
She'd been there for a lot longer, and so so that was harrowing. And you don't realise till you do it how it takes it out of you.
What the CPR
side.
You really don't know until you do it. And Darren kept. We lifted her out of bed onto the floor, and I had the ambulance people on speakerphone.
Yeah.
And she was fantastic, and she was trying to talk me through it, and I was going through the vitals and all the rest of it and telling her, and she goes, "Yeah, you need to, they're on their way, but you need to keep her going. You need to keep this heart going until they get there." So I'm doing it, and I was getting too fast, and the woman would count me. Do you know what I mean? And Darren, it was just not a.
It's meant to be staying alive, isn't it? The song.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah.
You kept going into the chorus. And
I was doing a medley, and then when I started the dancing, she said, "That's enough now. Come on, concentrate."
Doing it.
I know. Yeah. But it's just, and like I say, it affected me the year after.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think with all of us,
I think we've all had a wobble.
We all bottled it up far too much.
Yeah,
at the time.
Me and Darren had a massive fallout the first time.
Yeah.
And I said some horrible things to him because we just didn't deal with it very well.
No, we didn't know how.
It was a lot of joking and laughing like we always do, which is not a bad thing. But then obviously that's where you bottle it up.
In fairness, dark as we can get with what's happened to us, there's a couple of stories that come to mind. One with you and Darren.
Well, I was just going to say that one. Yeah.
Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So it was that night, the night when they were saying about taking her over to St Thomas's, and it was touch and go. But we'd been up there for quite a while. Me and Darren had been in the waiting room for a long time.
Yeah.
We worked that day and gone up there in the evening. We were tired, and you get a bit giggly. So me and Darren turned into a pair of kids. So we were in the room and we're laughing. And it's like, wait, because you're laughing because it's such a hard situation. How else do you deal with it other than laughter? Difficult. So the woman's come through because Mum's been taken, strapped to a thing, and that, and about to go in the ambulance.
And it was like proper 50-50.
Yeah, she was put on what they call an ECMO machine. Yeah. And not many people come off there.
No, but didn't they say we only had that room in the country?
There's only so many in the country, I believe. And
sure, at the time it was just St Thomas.
Yeah, they had one, and they rung through and said, look, if you can get her. Well, in fact, what happened is a team came from all the way down from London to do an operation in Worthing Hospital, which took because that's when we were sitting there, it was like 2 or 3 hours.
It's a long time.
Maybe longer,
was put in the tubes.
It was basically night. Everyone had left the fucking hospital at this point.
Yeah.
But a woman come down to the waiting room to say, do you want to come and say goodbye to your wife and to your mum?
Because they were taking her to London.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee she was going to make this trip.
That's what makes what you're about to say.
Yeah, because she basically come down to say, do you want to go and say bye to her? But you could be saying bye to her.
Yeah, because I remember you ringing to say this is what's going on, but there is a chance you might not make it to London.
But the woman that walked in the room had cross eye.
Yeah.
Well, she has what I call
boss eye, doesn't it?
FA Cup football draw.
Yeah.
So there's a one was home, one was away.
So she's over now, boss eye like that, and me and Darren like that.
Yeah.
Like that. So we're walking behind the woman and dad, and we're pissing ourselves. And as we're walking down the hallway, she folded her ankle. One of those, and me and Darren are gone. Absolutely gone in pieces, laughing. She's like, "They all right?"
She said, "They're all right." I said, "They're just a bit emotional." Just a bit emotional.
But then we've gone into the room, and me and Darren are howling, tears in our eyes, laughing, with all these people waiting to say goodbye to Mum. We're going like that, laughing through the whole thing.
It's just how you deal with it. What else can you do? You're not in control. You can't control any of it.
We told Mum that story as well.
Yeah.
You can't control any of it. You're in their hands, and it's just so emotional. You just, well, what are you going to do? Yeah. And these certain things just capture, and it's just human emotion.
So much silliness went on within that time.
The thing is, well, when we left the hospital that night, so we said them goodbyes, we walked out, and we were walking back to Will's car, it instantly went out of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were just suddenly, the whole situation was like, wow, we just laughed through that whole thing. We didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but now it's like, it all become very real. And it was sort of like a bit of a silent Wyoming. But yeah, I mean, we've always said it that we're sort of a fan of that, laughing in the dark times. Because how you deal with it.
Me and George, we're on a special ward and Mum's on this ECMO machine, and we're in St Thomas's Hospital. You have to go in and gown up. Yeah. You know, patients go in this room, not many come out.
No.
Not many come out of it. And she's in this, she's got this ECMO machine, which is a big tube taking blood out of her neck and putting it back in her groin. Yeah. It's like a hose pipe like that.
It does the work of the lungs.
It's an artificial heart, basically, isn't it?
Well, it takes the carbon dioxide out of the blood, puts oxygen in it, and then puts it back in because her body was just shutting down. She's on a liver machine, she's on a kidney machine, she's on, I mean, you couldn't get near her for drips and machines. And she had her own personal nurse because it was literally minute by minute. You know, that's how she was. And me and George were sitting, we had to gown up when we were sitting there, and I'm holding her hand. And it's a dark time. Yeah. It's a dark time. And she had a nurse. I think her name was Hannah.
Yeah, it was.
She was not just, and I don't mean this I don't want to be patronising to women, but she was a beautiful looking girl. Yeah. She was a lovely, but not just that, she was a beautiful person. Yeah, she was a doctor. She wasn't a nurse. She was a doctor.
She was a doctor.
She was a junior doctor. I'm sorry, I'm doing her a disservice. And she was absolutely on the ball. Absolutely on the ball. She knew everything, and not just that. She was just great with us. She just kept us in the loop. She kept us calm. She was just a fantastic person, and they don't pay these people enough. That's all I can say. Is she was unbelievable. And I looked at George and I went, you know, if this goes tits up, you know, maybe that's your next step, mum.
Yeah.
And we, like we're doing here, we were sat. Bearing in mind, these people dying.
Yeah.
These people, they're turning machines off over there, and me and him are just sitting by Mum's bed like this.
I'd said it on full shoulders. I was on the chair that trying.
But how else do you
I held it in.
I never told Mum that straight away.
No,
she does know this.
I didn't think you were going to tell that.
No,
you just now. When you started it, I knew what story this was going to be, and I was like, I didn't think we were going to tell that.
You know why? Because as dark, and I mean it was
it's
dark.
Real, isn't it?
It's real. It's what happened. We were sitting there for hours and hours. We would go up there, and through a day, I mean, I'd spend all day, 12 hours at the hospital, and might see her for 45 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of waiting room.
45 minutes in that time because they have to give her this care. You can't be in there.
Harry made the pyramid, didn't you? That's how much time we had.
How long did we sit in that waiting room?
That was back at, that was St Thomas.
I
made a pyramid of coal, house of coal.
But then it's funny because we always tell that story of like Dad making that joke and stuff, but then it's very rare we say about how excited he was when they did wake her up.
Oh my god! That's what.
Because I said I remember being with you when we went into work the first time. We had her sat up in the chair, and it was the first time we'd seen
the rush
of it through it.
Oh.
It was just the exciting. Whole body
every day was
through the door.
It was such a slog, and not in a horrible way because you would do it. You do it. That's what you've got to do. And we had work was great. We had some wonderful family and friends. And you know what I used to say? And they'd say, well, we want to go up. I said, well, if I'm not there, go up at this time. And it was almost like I was saying, go up there and be with her because I'm not going to get up there till this time. So she always had someone with her.
Took it in shifts, all of us.
And in my mind, I'm like, no, she's always got something. She was oblivious to it because she's in this coma. But I'm like, no, she's always got someone with her.
People writing the book in that as well.
We had this book that we'd write in, and you know, but the day we went up there and they'd woke her up, it was just, unbelievable.
Was you there the first time?
No.
It was just me and you.
I went up there later on.
Because I remember coming back and saying to you now, I said it made me upset because I didn't think nothing of it. I said, but the excitement of that, because when it was the push doors that opened, it was just the little circles.
Yeah.
I remember Dad, every time we get there, sort of have a little look, because at the time her bed was like dead in front. And it was exciting. Dad just going, she's awake. That's all he said. And boom, the door open. She was sat up.
It's like the ice cream man was coming.
Yeah, it is. It's like, ice cream man.
Pushing children behind me as I'm running through. Yeah.
But the second one was when they woke up the second time. She was at St Thomas. Do you remember me and you? We got up early, got the tube, got the train and the tube all the way there.
The nightmare day.
Like, just horrible. And obviously it's just like, you're going there, but you know you're going there for a good reason. You want to go. Got all the way there, and it just happened to be that as we walked in, they was like, we're taking her back to work, and we was like,
just got in the door. It was like, yeah, fine. Okay,
so we walked out, both of us were saying about how buzzing we was. It's amazing. This is amazing. She's going back to work, and we're like, fucking hell, could they not have rung?
In 2 hours.
Yeah, could they not have rung us 2 hours ago? Say, look,
I had to ring around because I think it was Rachel and Samantha and Danielle were coming up.
Yes.
And they were on the phone saying, yeah, I'm just finishing, I'm on my way up now. And I'm like, listen, don't come up, she won't be here. So, but you know, you take the plus out of that. And so, yeah, it's been a slog. And as I say, the couple of years after it happened, or the first one and then the second one, and then the year after that, I had a blip. And and then I had to kind of not pull myself together, but kind of say, I've got to deal with this because I've got to
what do you do now? So obviously you're a full-time carer to mum, which keeps you busy. It is a full-time job at the end of the day. And that's not a disrespectful way of talking about mum, but as in there is just stuff that needs doing all the time. But how do you deal with it mentally to keep yourself going?
I treat it like, let me put it this way, mine and mum's relationship is we've always got on very well when we're together. If we've ever argued in our relationship, it more than likely has been because we've been apart. Or we've been.
It's almost like when you're apart and you come together, you've got to talk about the issues that's happened while you've been apart. Who's paying this, paying that, doing this, doing that, then you clash.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're just together, it's almost like you'll talk about it then and there. Oh, by the way, it's got to be done.
You both communicate really well.
Well, we learned that over 30 years. I'd come in from work and moan about work, or mum would moan about this, that, and the other. Now, I think we made a rule in the end that we would talk about it for a little time after when we first got together, and then we go, right, that's it.
Don't argue, just make love.
Yeah.
Just vent and
just come in and go, I'm not going to talk about
I'm not going to talk about that. Get up them stairs.
Is that what she said to you?
Yeah. I felt a little bit intimidated.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But as a day-to-day thing, obviously you have to stay strong, because it's something I've credited you with before.
But let me just put it into context as well. Is I haven't always been the greatest husband, and mum supported me over the years. So, you know, it's my turn. Do you know what I mean? So, you know.
Yeah, it's almost like not a dig at you, but like mum was the strong one.
That's why we fell apart. And as mum says, when I tried to take my life because I felt I wasn't needed. My kids are grown up. I felt I wasn't wanted anymore. But the proof in the pudding was when she did do that, we fell apart.
Yeah.
Because she was the rock that we all
100%
went to if we needed something. Do you know what I mean? So the proof was there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, I would say that like biggest regret was the first time was going out and meeting her. That's just like the little things, because obviously I was out there. Well, we was all doing bits. We was all busy because, like she said, we are adults, and she had rung every single one of us that day to say she was down the pub. Do we want to go and meet her?
Yeah.
And obviously at that point, because she stopped drinking now, like she's sober, but at that point her drinking was quite bad, and she could be a little bit like of a nightmare to be with someone because she was drunk. So when you got that call, sometimes the mum was drunk, do you want to come down here? And you go, you know, I don't know if I can deal with it.
Yeah, it's tough because she was self-medicated with alcohol.
And it was almost selfish of us lot to be like, no, because we was doing things, not just saying no, we was genuinely busy doing things.
Yeah,
but sort of go, I don't know if I can make that time today.
I know it feels so people reject coming out
exactly.
with me as well, but obviously I was not the best person.
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest regrets is not going out that day.
Yeah. But it's whether you look at it as you can't change. No, it's a history.
But
it would have happened another day.
Yeah, it probably would have, but with mum, I just feel like that would have changed.
Oh, 100% she would. If you had turned up at that pub, that's what she needed that day, and we didn't do it. So that's
but regret. You can say that, but on the second time, she was.
That was out of nowhere.
That was out of nowhere.
Yeah, I remember working. I was walking home from work, and
there's actually.
He didn't even go to explain that, and because he had seen it this time and it hurt him that much. I remember he rang me and went, "I'm really sorry." It was his first words, as if it's his fault.
Yeah,
because that's how he suffered.
And do you know what? And my heart went out to him because at the time his mail was coming to our house.
Yeah,
and he was, I think he was in between jobs or he was working funny hours, so he came in the morning and he'd been the week before and mum had been struggling a bit and she took herself to bed and he'd come in to pick his mail up or whatever, and he'd gone or he woke up or shouted up the stairs.
He used to do it all the time. He'd shout, "Mum!"
Yeah.
And she'd say, "I was asleep."
Oh, I was asleep then, but he didn't know that. He's just come in the back because the door was open, and then she would come down and she'd say, "Oh, bloody Darren come round and woke me up." It's not his fault.
Yeah.
So on this particular day, he'd come in the back door, looked up the stairs, and the door was shut, and he thought, "Oh, she's having a kip. I'll leave her be."
Yeah.
So he was literally downstairs sorting his paperwork out, and had been for not a long, but a little while.
Yeah.
In the big scheme of things, it wouldn't have made a massive amount of difference. But I think, and then I came bowling in the door because I couldn't get hold of her. She wasn't answering the phone, and I was just a little bit, something ain't right here.
Especially when it was in the year.
Yeah, it was the year. And then I've come in, we went upstairs and obviously found her. And I think Darren felt that he got, I should have.
Yeah,
and there's no way you could have known. And there's no way. And the time difference wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference anyway. But I think the fact that he saw it like that and saw her.
Yeah, but that's what I say, when he rang me, it wasn't like, "Hello, mate," but this is what he just literally said. He's like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
He was like, "Mum's done it again." And I was.
Yeah, that was the words he used to me. "Mum's done it again." That's all he had to say.
Yeah.
I was at work. I got a phone, mate, and he went, "Yeah, Mum's done it again." My heart just sank.
Yeah.
Now instantly, I just knew what that meant.
But I think because obviously it's funny now we're older, but I think obviously for Darren, I'm still the little brother.
Yeah.
And at the time, obviously, I was a bit younger.
Younger brother.
Yeah, younger brother, sorry. But I think, because him saying sorry is almost like, you don't want to bring your little brothers and say that.
Yeah.
It's not a phone. I remember ringing him the first time. It's not a phone call you want to make. It's just, it's hard to word. It's hard to get across.
That's what I was going to say before, though. And I've given you credit for it before to your face or to other people. I know.
To your face.
To your face. But throughout the whole thing, obviously, you were having to keep everyone in the loop. And there's a big family on both sides. Mum's a very, very popular woman, even though she doesn't seem to always believe it. She's insanely
down the
popular.
road about everyone being out of mum. What's your mum doing?
So you had so many people that were ringing or messaging, and you were having to, and bless his heart, he didn't even know how to copy and paste the text back then, so he was rewriting. I remember saying to him, "Look, you can hold it down, copy and paste." He's writing the same message over and over again to 30, 40 different people, but I never see a tear come out your eye. Because you're in front of your son, you have to stay strong in the moment, everyone wants to know the news, you almost felt like, I can't break down right now, because then we're all in trouble.
Yeah, I had to, and I knew that as well.
The one time you did was karaoke, wasn't it? I remember when you went to the funeral, and then you had a drink after.
Yeah, but it wasn't a breakdown. It was just.
But when you were singing about the emotion,
I don't remember it. So,
but I mean, as in the drinking, because of you hadn't cried or nothing.
Well, to put that in context is, while Mum was in hospital, a friend, a very dear old chap that I used to know, passed away, and I know Mum loved him to bits and would have wanted to go to his funeral and couldn't. And I didn't go to the funeral because I was up in London, and I came back from the hospital and a friend rang them and said, "Look, they're having a drink for him." And I said, "Oh, well, I'm going to show my face because Julie, Julie loved him to bits, and so I'm going to show my face," and just got caught because there were friends there and they were worried about.
So it weren't a sad drink, was it? It was an enjoyable one.
Yeah, it was
celebrating his life.
Celebrating his life, but
it was a night off because you hadn't had a night off.
I hadn't tried. Well, I just.
That's what I mean. That whole time, none of us had
Yeah, I got myself in a bit of a state.
Your first time to be like, well, you just go down there, people are looking after Mum.
Yeah.
That's your night, go to the funeral, and then obviously you got carried away with the Jaegers.
Yeah, I got caught out badly.
And he was in the crowd singing, and it was
bad.
And got the video, didn't he?
Yeah, I got myself, and I don't remember any of it.
You can have a sing song and all, but it was appalling.
I was appalling. I literally don't remember any of it.
No.
But
you do, you've got to have them days.
But that's why, like you say, a year later was when it came out.
Yeah.
The first time you were able to just let your guard
I think that's what it was. I was worried about it happening again.
Yeah.
But I think as well, it's just that thing, when things pop in your head and you go, "Oh, it was about this time last year." Like
it starts off casual.
Your brain works weird like that.
But then I think the PTSD is still there for all of us, because even now, knowing that you're there's some days if I ring Mum and she don't answer.
There's always
straight away as well. And I said to Mum before, I was like, it's nothing towards her, it's nothing against her. It's a bit even now. I'll ring if she don't ring straight away, and I'll ring the second time, and then I'm like, fuck, straight away.
But that fear that you're talking about is a fear that Mum lives with every day about herself.
Yeah, that's what
she never knows how.
And that's why I feel guilty. And then I'll say to her about it, and I'm like, it's not your fault. I said,
no, it's not. And this is, I think this is why we struggled with certain people who didn't understand Mum's illness.
Seeing it as selfish.
Yeah. And what I would try to say is, listen, she's not well.
No.
She's not well.
People know how much Mum loves of you as well.
Yeah.
So why
the one person she doesn't love is herself.
Exactly, and that's why I said, why would it be for attention? It would never be for attention.
No, it's just not. It's not in her.
She'd never want to do that.
Plus,
She loves
again,
people too
because
much.
of the age, like mum's age and the time that she grew up in, no one was diagnosed with mental health or specific.
No, that's the main thing. He said you backdate it, the amount of time mum's had that drinking kicked off.
She'd never been diagnosed until that happened.
There's a
Until
chance
they finally went, there might be something up here.
She's probably had bipolar since she was a teen.
She had depression before. She'd been on antidepressants. She would have her ups and downs. And we had a conversation, Liam, about it. And I thought years before that there was something in. You know, I've been reading things and watching programs about it, and thinking. I think it used to be called manic depression.
Yeah.
And I thought, I think this is similar. A lot of her things that she does are very similar. So I thought that there might be something there, but never to that point.
No, you just don't know.
But she was also, what she was masking is she was living with voices in her head.
Yeah.
Which we had an idea about because she would mention
I was going to say that was the spookiest thing for me. Is she always called herself these names.
Yeah.
Say about Stan coming out to play, and she used to call herself like Auntie Ethel and stuff.
Ethel, that was it. Stan and Ethel were the two.
And then it's funny that at the time we had no idea until she finally admitted the voices and then said the names. It did send a bit of a shiver down my spine.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I've heard that name since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I've always heard them names without knowing it was voices.
And she said before that she believed it was Stan and not her.
Yeah.
With the overdose.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was just the weirdest thing. Like, just and I think
this is what people don't understand when they see her day to day. That she lives with. I mean, obviously she's on medication.
Yeah.
And so that now brings that into all day. It stops it, but they're always there. Mm-hmm. They're always there in the background.
It sort of numbs them, doesn't it, around?
Yeah. So but she deals with that.
Yeah.
She's the one who has them conversations. She fights that person to do the right thing. So it's tough because it's tiring. Must be so tiring for her.
Obviously, Mum considered herself to be weak and vulnerable. We obviously, she's one of the
Far
strongest people I've ever met in my life.
Far from it.
I know what my mental health's like. I struggle every day. Yeah. I know that. But what she's going through is another level, and she just keeps batting it off. The second she sees someone, she can switch it on.
Yeah.
And
unbelievable.
Well, I was going to say that was funny because for years I always said I thought we were like Dad, the way we'd react to just switching off and chatting to people, and then obviously now seeing Mum go through it, I'm like, no, we might be more like Mum in that sense.
Yeah,
because Dad sometimes if you can't be bothered, you can be a bit cold and you just don't talk to someone, which I do. I'm worse for that than you are, but
yeah, you too.
Yeah, I'm quite cold. If there's someone there, but whereas Mum is bang every time, no matter who.
I don't like giving energy or using my energy.
It's like wasting it
and waste it. Well, Mum will just give her time to.
Harry's that when we used to go out. Harry would be every time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you get that from your mum. She would empty her. She could meet someone today, and they go, "Oh, I'm having a bit of trouble with this." She'd empty her purse. You wouldn't even know that person from Adam, and she'd go, "Well, look, if I can help, there's only a penny in there, but you can have it."
Yeah, she spend the entire day with them buying drinks, look after him.
Yeah,
and that is the good part of her.
Yeah,
you know,
she's nice to a fault sometimes. That's the problem. We've said it to her before. It shouldn't be a case of you being punished for being too nice.
No.
But unfortunately, in the world we live in, you can be too nice.
People take advantage of that.
Definitely.
So, which is a shame. But you wouldn't want her to change.
No.
Because that is who she is. So, but it's tough, and I'm just so proud of her.
Yeah.
So proud of her for doing what she's doing.
Well, she's away this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it threw me almost because I come around the other day. Before Wednesday, before I went out with Monkeys, and we was chatting and said about doing it this weekend.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting there the other day, and I see Mum put up saying, "I'm going to be blah blah." I think she's for our first bit.
Yeah, she's with this right. She's not on her own.
No, but I'm saying that when she
not
put
just
it,
gallivanting
I automatically went to. I thought Dad was round Sunday, and I'm like, if they're out drinking, are they coming back Sunday morning then, without even thinking she's going with someone else?
Yeah.
So obviously, then when you come around and saw it, so I said, I was like, "Who's she?"
It's a massive step for her to give her a little bit of confidence. I said she's not on her own, but she's moving forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's given me not that I've done anything this weekend because it's nice to just sit and do nothing sometimes, but it's just given me a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
But it's massive for her. Do you know what I mean? Moving forward with her with her
health. There's not many married couples that, other than people retired, that sit with each other all day.
Right.
Yeah, like I say, we are lucky. We do get on.
Yeah.
We enjoy each other's company, and that can be the fact we might be both on our phone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We might just be sitting together.
How many times you go? I'll go and see him and say hello.
Yeah.
And then
It'll be when he picks her up from the station later again.
Oh, I will be.
Yeah.
I will be. I've already said to her, because she's pulling into Ford, and she's on the other platform.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'll park up and I'll come underneath and I'll be waiting on the platform for you, and I will be. I'll be made up when she comes back.
Yeah,
so
getting flowers.
No, don't get
come
carried
back
away.
from war.
Yeah.
Take your hat off.
You're going to jump in her arms.
Yeah.
And she'll swing you around.
Swing you around. Yeah. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine her Achilles back and everything lifting Dad?
To just crumble.
Could you pick him up?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's done my back. He's done my back before.
Oh yeah.
That's plant my feet.
Yeah.
Ish.
Well, yeah, I think we'll leave it there for this week. But we're going to have you on again on the next episode.
Yeah, we'll be at a secret location.
Yeah, we will be somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both going to be longer episodes as well. I'm pretty sure this was 45.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll do it again.
By, didn't it?
Yeah, it does go quick, and that's why we wanted to make yours a 2-part.
Well, that's it, because we sort of said like when you see other people do a podcast or a video and stuff, they tend to be like an hour and a half, sometimes longer.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously doing a 2-part is nicer because then it means people can watch a half an hour 45 and then another half hour, and it ends up being an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's just not in one whole.
Yeah, and obviously we haven't really scratched the surface today of all the different things.
Well, we haven't really scratched the surface of like men's mental health.
No,
as far as
right.
some of your age and our age.
Well, all I'm saying is tune in next time because there's a lot more I'd like to say.
I think we'll
set
get
up
more
and
onto
read
yourself rather than obviously Mum was like the elephant in the room. We can't not talk.
Yeah, we had to
it.
talk about it, and it's fallout of. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know that happened. We had issues before then, but we dealt with that, and then we got issues after. Not because of that, because we've just got issues. So, but it is a big thing with mental health in everyone.
Yeah.
So, just quickly, I just would say though, I don't know if you follow Frank Bruno on Twitter.
I don't have Twitter.
Oh, you don't have Twitter anymore. He put a thing out. He suffers with his mental health, and he's got a charity. But he almost said something about there should be something like emergency service because the police have to deal with it. They don't like dealing with it. They just bang them in the cells, and these people have got issues and they need professionals. And there should be something out there for this. Do you know what I mean? That and I think really, charities and the government need to look at it. They need to put more money in it. There's not enough.
You've got like Mind charity and things like that.
Well, Mum uses Mind, and they are fantastic, but they're at a stretch, and places are, premium. So,
well, they're saying that if anyone is struggling and wants to do it, you've got that Andy Mann's Club, which I've done a session at.
Yeah.
Which is a group session, but it's men.
Yeah, all right.
So, but you can look it up. There'll be a local one in East Town. We've got one in Northampton now.
Yeah.
And I did go down there once. It was good, but it's just for me. I don't need a group session. I've got people I can talk to, but for other people, it's quite nice. And you don't have to speak. You can go down and just listen to everyone else.
Yeah, I think
we'll start posting some of this stuff on the Instagram page as well. I think. You know what I mean? Find some,
Yeah, but no, Andy Mann's Club's a really good one because a lot of them down there when I went, they were surprised I spoke.
Yeah.
On the first session, and anyone I spoke to was there said they'd never spoken at the first.
There
session.
needs to be something out there more for people and accessibility for people to go and get things before it gets too late.
Yeah.
Before it gets too late.
Which happens far too often.
And the other thing is there are a couple of times, and it's horrible to say this, but there are a couple of times that when Julie's absolutely been at her lowest and I couldn't deal with her, I took her to the hospital to have her sectioned. Twice that's happened.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
Twice she's been to hospital.
Weeds are the things you block out, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was only coming to this, so I was thinking about, what can we talk about? And I was thinking what had happened in the past, and to me,
it's like my brain's almost.
And the only reason, this is how ill she was, the only reason that she was never sectioned was because they didn't have beds.
Yeah.
We went through A&E and we sat at the ward for ages, and the psych doc come down and evaluated her and said, yeah. And the only reason they couldn't admit her is because they didn't have beds both times.
After her physically.
And so we came out. I think they send the crisis team round once or twice. They have a special crisis team.
Yeah, I remember.
But the other thing was she rung Samaritans. She came back and she rung Samaritans, and she was on the phone for a long time.
She's done all of them, didn't she?
Yeah, but she found that really helpful. She found Samaritans really helpful.
Times. Back when I was drinking down the riverbank and things like that, I was needing someone to talk to. I've rung Samaritans a few times. You get through pretty lively.
They are.
A human being.
Yeah, exactly. So if anyone is struggling, I know people laugh and go, bloody Samaritans.
No, they're amazing.
Honestly, they're out there, and Julie's rung them a couple of times, and they.
A lot of them are volunteers as well.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, they're trained volunteers.
A couple of hours just chatting. By the end of the conversation, I'm laughing with them because I've calmed down and gone through a motor, and then I'm just chatting.
Just someone outside, just someone to listen at that time. At that time.
Well, that's exactly what we said about this podcast. And obviously we're trying to wrap up, but obviously that was the main thing for this. Is
it's
even
just
if this week to someone we don't know.
Until it happens to you, And my view on mental health is always, I thought it was a horrible thing for people to live with, and but my view, until it happens to you, your views totally change on it, and how then your own mental health because of what's gone on, and you realise what's going on, and you think that there needs to be more put into this. There needs to be more.
Well, I feel we're on the next episode. We'll concentrate more on that side of it, even though we still.
We've got 2 weeks to have a look into some bits as well. So even if we each of us can find,
we'll make next week a real men's mental health special sort of.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Obviously, we'll try and find mutual things, as in because I say Andy Man's comes for men, like obviously for men, so it's a good one. But then we'll try and find ones that are for both, but obviously focus on our men's mental health.
Yeah.
I've got to do some editing now. I've got to blur that out. No, I can't have that on there. Right, well, yeah.
I'm going to do the salute. You can do your thumb.
That's fine. No,
Red Bull for the win, by the way. Just got to get that in. It was about mums. I couldn't disrespect.
It's run it. I've drunk it all, but black coffee.
Red Bull. That's a tune.
It's a tune, isn't it? Steve Marriott version.
Oh yeah, it's unreal.
Black coffee. Right. Thank you for your